Before we begin with the reorganization meeting, we do have a celebration to do tonight. It's such a interesting time in people's lives when they make a decision that ending their long-time career with such a fantastic school district, it's time to start a new phase of life. And it's a wonderful experience for us as a Board of Education and Administration to celebrate those people. So we have two of our retirees here with us tonight, and I would like to spend a little bit of time just acknowledging them and spending some time kind of looking through their careers and maybe give an opportunity for them to reflect on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, folks. So give them some time, maybe possibly to reflect on their time here in Marlborough as well. It's a special community, it's a special place, and certainly we're very proud to have worked with you. I've known you for a couple of years and have had some really wonderful conversations with both of you, and really, quite honestly, experienced some great things right at the end of the year too, watching how you left your buildings and celebrated some children, and it was really quite special. So if I could, I'd just like to say Mary Sedgwick and Mary Ibsen, thank you very much for coming tonight. Mary Ibsen was a special education teacher here with us, most recently at Marlborough Elementary School. She has decided to retire from Marlborough School District after serving the school district for 32 years. So Mary, congratulations to you. That's a pretty special amount of time. And we're very proud to have worked with you, and our children benefited because of the work you did with them. So thank you very much. Okay. And then Mary Sedgwick, also working here in the school district for 17 years as a Spanish teacher, most recently split between the middle school and the high school. Mary, I was really touched by some of the things you did during the awards night with the seniors, and it was really quite something special. And having those relationships with the children over a number of years, especially in a department like the foreign language department, where you can establish those long-term relationships, I'm so glad you benefited, but I'm more glad that our children benefited. So Mary, thank you very much for the service that you provided to the school district, and congratulations on your retirement as well. Did either of you want to say something, put you on the spot to reflect on your time, or any you don't have to, so. With that, I would like to ask the board if we could pause for just a few minutes to go and cut some cake and eat a little bit with our two retirees. Before we do that, I would like to recognize, at least verbally, the other retirees. Linda Van Bisi, a nurse at the elementary school, has also retired from us. Larry DiUlio, social studies teacher at the high school, is also retiring. Gary Dunn has retired also from our custodial group. Laura Jones, a monitor with our elementary school. Ricky Mazzella, an English teacher with our high school. Irene Scaturo, we also had a celebration for Irene back mid-year, but again, this year she did retire as a long-term clerical assistant in the school district, but most recently she spent a lot of time in the superintendent's office. And Paul Turner, who I just saw the other day, looked fantastic, by the way, also retiring from our custodial group. So congratulations to all of them as well. So we'll take a brief recess and go enjoy some cake. Okay, folks, we're going to come back into regular session. Before we get ourselves onto the agenda and begin our reorganization, I just have a couple of quick announcements. First of all, at some point in time, the Board of Education is going to have to make a decision, and perhaps maybe that's appropriate for the August discussion, on how we want to proceed with the student representative that we have for the Board of Education. Right now, we have 2 students that have applied for the position. So maybe a discussion can be had at some point on how we want to proceed with making that choice. Okay? And the last one also, I just want to make sure the public is aware. I made some commitments to some parents that I would make an announcement at the board meeting because they were not able to make it. But there's been some substantial discussion regarding Geometry Regents results. And I know that this is a continuing dialogue that's happening in a number of districts, but certainly we're most concerned about what's happening here in Marlborough. So I just want to make sure that it's noted that we are concerned about the performance that we saw with our Geometry Regents, and that's not just administrative and teacher. This Board of Education is keenly aware of the results. I've been keeping them up to date with what's going on with that, and I'm also appreciative of the staff at the high school and certainly Ms. Heck's office from our Director of Curriculum and Instruction on looking at the improvement model. Now, certainly our teachers are familiar with an improvement model where you look at results and you retool your program every year as you look at those results. So a refocused effort on that is an important element for us. But certainly we're looking at curriculum alignment, instructional quality, exam preparation, equipment use. There's been some dialogue regarding the graphing calculator and using the app that's on a phone versus the physical calculator. Certainly you can't use the cell phone app in the exam. You must use the physical calculator. So all of this is a focus of our high school and our math department, and I just want to assure the public and certainly those parents that I made some commitments to that I would bring it up in public session. Absolutely, we are focusing on that and have concerns, and that's through the whole system. And I certainly appreciate this Board of Education's focused on results as well. So with that, I'm turning it over to our former president, Mr. Bill Bell, to begin the reorganization meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. We are going to begin with the appointment of our district clerk. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints Patrick Witherow as district clerk for the 2017-18 school year, and that the district clerk be bonded by St. Paul Travelers for July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018 in the amount of $500,000. I have a motion to appoint Patrick Witherow as district clerk. James, second. Frank, any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And myself, yes. John is
Yes.
not. John is not. Who else?
Me.
John.
Frank?
Oh, sorry, Frank.
John is not this morning.
True, Frank. Shouldn't we have done that?
Huh?
Start with the clerk.
Did we get everybody?
Now he takes over the meeting.
Everybody? Okay. Mr. Brooks is going to swear in our new district clerk.
Repeat after me. I do hereby pledge and declare that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties according to the best of my ability. The duties of the position of district clerk of the Marlborough Central School District to which I am now assigned. Congratulations.
Now the district clerk will administer the oath of office to board member-elects Mrs. Horton, Mr. Kuha, and Mr. Cantone. Jay. John.
What, one at a time we figure, right?
I should do it at the podium so it can be heard.
Yes.
Okay. If you could repeat after me, please. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of the Marlborough Central School District
of the Marlborough Central School District
for the term beginning July 1, 2017
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
to June 30th, 2020,
to June 30th, 2020,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of the office of school board member
of the Marlborough Central School District
of the Marlborough Central School District
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
to June 30th, 2020,
to June 30th, 2020,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of school board member
the duties of office of school board member
of the Marlborough Central School District
of the Marlborough Central School District
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
to June 30th, 2020,
to June 30th, 2020,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And now the district clerk will administer the oath of office to the superintendent of schools.
Please repeat after me. I do hereby pledge and declare
I do hereby pledge and declare
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of the position of Superintendent of Schools
the duties of Superintendent of Schools
of the Marlborough Central School District,
of the Marlborough Central School District,
to which I am now assigned.
to which I am now assigned.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
At this time, the board will enter executive session for the purpose of electing officers and discussing committee membership. Can I get a motion to enter executive session? Russell, second. James, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Stand by. Is there a motion to come out of executive session? James, second. Susan, 8:55. We're going to resume the meeting, beginning with the nomination of the board president for 2017-18. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints Susan Horton as president of the Board of Education for the 2017-18 school year. Motion for approval of Mrs. Horton as the president of the Board of Education, Joanne. Second, Russell. Any discussion? Russell.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
And myself, yes. We'll move on to election of the board vice president for 2017-18. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints Frank Malazzo as vice president of the Board of Education for the 2017-18 school year. Motion for approval of Frank Malazzo as vice president, Joanne. Second, James. Any discussion? Russell.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Myself, yes. The district clerk will now administer the oath of office to the newly elected president and vice president of the Board of Education for the 2017-18 school year.
Ms. Horton, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of Board of Education President
the duties of the office of Board of Education President
of the Marlborough Central School District
of the Marlborough Central School District
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
to June 30th, 2018,
to June 30th, 2018,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Milazzo, please read after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of School Board Vice President
the duties of the office of School Board Vice President
of the Marlborough Central School District
of the Marlborough Central School District
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
for the term beginning July 1st, 2017
to June 30th, 2018,
to June 30th, 2018,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 3, district appointments. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints the following individuals, listed individuals for the 2017-18 school year as presented. Can I get a motion to appoint the list of presented individuals? James, second. Joanne, discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Number 4, designation of banks and newspapers. Resolved that the Board of Education adopts the following motion as presented. Motion to adopt the banks and newspaper. Can I get a motion? James. Second, Frank. Discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, moving on to number 5, organization chart. Resolved that the Board of Education adopts the presented organization chart for the Marlborough Central School District. Can I get a motion to adopt the organizational chart? James? Frank? Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Number 6, petty cash funds. Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the establishment of petty cash funds in the amounts and with the persons responsible as presented. Can I get a motion to authorize petty cash funds? Joanne. Second, Frank. Any discussion?
A quick question. Is any of this different from last year? And if so, what's changed?
There's nothing different from last year.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Moving on to number 7, the readoption of the Board of Education Policy Handbook. Resolved that the Board of Education readopts the written policies as contained in the Board of Education Policy Handbook. Can I get a motion to readopt the policy handbook? Bill? Second, James. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Budget transfers. Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to make budget transfers as per provision of the Commissioner's Regulations, Section 170.21, and Board of Education policy. A motion to authorize budget transfers. Frank? Joanne, second. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Myself, yes. Number 9, adoption of the textbook list. Resolved that the Board of Education readopts the district textbook list as per provisions of Educational Law, Section 701 and 1709-4. Can I get a motion to readopt the textbook list? Russell, second. Bill? Any discussion?
Quick question, Sue, of this list, this was the same as last year, or I assume I, well, really not to Sue, but Mike, this was the same list as last year, or is it
Well,
changed?
it's not, because there's been some additions since last reorganization meeting, so any new additions to the book get adopted by the Board of Education through the Curriculum Instruction Office. So those additions that we made during the year would be new on this list since last time.
Was there any raised concerns or any issues from parents or anything about any of the content for any of these books? So it's pretty much been used, everybody's okay with it?
Great question. There is a form of policy on objecting to library material. When it comes to instructional material, it's a little bit different, but I'm not aware of any formal
Okay.
complaints.
Thanks. It being the first day, I didn't get a chance to read the book or ask any of these questions before, but thanks.
Any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Myself, yes. Number 10, Code of Ethics. Resolved that the Board of Education readopts the Code of Ethics governing the conduct of the board members. Can I get a motion to readopt the Code of Ethics? Bill, second. James. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Myself, yes. Moving on to number 11, mileage reimbursement rate. Resolved that the Board of Education sets the mileage reimbursement rate to be consistent with the Internal Revenue Service rate. Can I get a motion on the reimbursement rate for mileage? Joanne, second. Russell, any discussion?
question, what is the, Patrick, what is the rate?
I think it's,
Might be 53 and a half cents right now.
I believe
It
so.
varies by quarter.
Yeah.
I think they adjust it every quarter or every,
We just always match whatever the IRS rate is.
I think it's 53 and a half right now.
You know,
I need to have,
Half percent, yeah, half percent, yeah.
it is.
yeah,
Yes, it is 53.
Any further discussion? Russell,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Myself, yes. Number 12, Committee on Special Education and Committee on Preschool Special Ed. Resolved that the Board of Education approves the following persons to the Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Special Education for the 2017-18 school year as presented. Can I get a motion to approve the Committee on Special Ed and Preschool? James, second. Frank? Discussion. Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
sure,
Yes. Myself, yes. To ask a question about that. Okay, so, forgive me, I forgot something myself. So, at the bottom of that list, it says additionally, a generic unnamed person will be an appropriately licensed or certified professional. What does
It's,
that pertain to?
that's part of the motion. That's fine.
Right.
No, I know, but I
Okay.
didn't know specifically what the unnamed,
Ms. Mealy can speak to that.
It's if evaluation is presented by someone outside of the county teaching service.
okay.
So if they're out of county representative or
Right.
representative, sometimes we have outside.
All right, thank you. Number 13, Orange Ulster Board Delegate. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints Joanne Reed as the Orange Ulster School Board's delegate for the 2017-18 school year. And we will not be doing an alternate. Can I get a motion to appoint Joanne Reed as our Orange Ulster School Board's delegate? Russell. Second, Bill. Discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ulster County Board Delegate. Resolved that the Board of Education appoints Frank Milazzo as the Ulster County School Board's delegate for the 2017-18 school year. Again, no alternate has been designated here. Can I get a motion to appoint Frank Milazzo? Bill. Second, Russell. Discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Number 15, authorization to participate in title and grant programs. Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to apply and participate in title and grant programs for the school year 2017-18. Can I get a motion for title and grant authorization? Joanne. Second, James. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Number 16, impartial hearing officers. Resolved that the Board of Education approves use of the impartial hearing officers rotational list as provided by the State Education Department to be used as impartial hearing officers on a rotational basis during the 2017-18 school year as presented, and to delegate to the superintendent the authority to choose from the list when an impartial hearing is necessitated. Can I get a motion to approve the impartial hearing officers? Joanne. Second, James. Any discussion?
Could I ask you to make a minor amendment to that?
Sure.
In the third line, after the comment says "as presented,"
Yes.
this is not a list of people that can be presented, so it wasn't presented. It's actually something that if there is an impartial hearing request, we then go onto a state database and have a list of impartial hearing officers to choose from. So that language should actually be struck, if you could, as presented.
So we will strike as presented.
Right.
Do I need to get a motion to strike that?
It's up to you.
I don't think so. Okay. So do we have a motion to approve? Did we already do that?
Yeah, we're in
We did.
discussion.
We're in discussion, sorry. Okay, Russell.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Number 17, Superintendent's Conference, Staff Conferences. Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the Superintendent of Schools to approve conferences and approve the Superintendent of Schools' participation and staff member participation in the school-related conferences for 2017-18 school year. Can I get a motion to authorize the conference approval? Joanne. Second, James. Any discussion? Russell.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Number 18, committee membership. Technology, communications, facility, student liaison, audit, safety, transportation, policy, and finance. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint John Cantone to the Technology Communications Committee for 2017-18 school year. Can I get a motion to appoint?
That's one. Just, you can keep going.
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm new at this. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint Russell Connolly, John Cantone, and Joanne Reed to the Facilities Committee for the 2017-18 school year with an alternate of myself, Susan Horton. We are going to strike the student liaison. Can Can I get a motion to strike the student liaison? Bill, second. James, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolved that the Board of Education appoint John Cantone, Frank Milazzo, and myself, Susan Horton, to the Audit Committee for the 2017-18 school year with an alternate of Joanne Reed, and community member
Ralph.
She's checking to make sure.
Mr. Ralph Walters?
Are you still interested in helping Ralph?
Okay, thank you. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint Susan Horton, James Kuha, and Frank Milazzo to the Safety Transportation Committee for the 2017-18 school year with an alternate of Russell Conley. Resolved that the Board of Education appoint Frank Milazzo, James Kuha, and Susan Horton to the Policy Committee for the 2017-18 school year. We didn't have an alternate there, correct? Resolved that the Board of Education appoint Susan Horton, Frank Milazzo, and John Cantone to the Finance Committee for 2017-18 school year with an alternate of Joanne Reed. Can I get a motion to appoint the committee membership? Joanne, second. Russell, any discussion?
Just for the record, the reason that the student liaison committee was stricken, can you just explain that? I can explain it, but I'm looking at Mike.
Yes. The board is going to consider how they're going to decide on the student representative at the August meeting. We have 2 applicants for the position of student representative, and the board will take that up and deliberate at that point and decide who will be on that committee to make the choice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Consent for the Board of Education minutes. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approve the following unofficial Board of Education meeting minutes as presented. Can I get a motion to approve meeting minutes? Bill. Second. James. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Personnel recommendations. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approve the following personnel recommendations as presented. Can I get a motion to approve? Frank, second. Joanne? Any discussion?
Mike? Did you want
After they're appointed.
to? Okay.
Once they're appointed, I'd like to talk to them about, yes.
Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Can I just take a moment? Okay. This is actually a very exciting time in each meeting when we make appointments, and certainly tonight we've got a number of professional appointments that we made, and I would like to introduce the board and certainly our community members that are here and those that are watching on video, some of our new teachers that are here. So Megan Quinn, if you could stand up, please. Megan Quinn is coming to us from Saugerties, New York. She has certification in English Language Arts 7 through 12 and English Language Arts Extension in grades 5 through 6. She did her undergraduate work at St. Mary's College, and she achieved a Bachelor of Arts in English. And she did her graduate work at the University of Buffalo, where she got a master's in English education. I am so excited to be bringing you into the English department. I know they are very excited to have you, and you've already begun to engage and obviously have drawn a crowd. So that's very nice, Megan, and I welcome you to a long and wonderful career here in Marlborough. So welcome. Tom Tarashine, if you could stand up, please, too. Tom. Tom comes to us also from Saugerties, New York. He's got Spanish certification in grades 7 through 12. He did his undergraduate work at Purchase College, where he earned a Bachelor's of Arts in Language and Culture, and he has a graduate degree from SUNY New Paltz with a Master's in Spanish. And Tom and I first met in the job fair back, back in the spring, and made it through the process and multiple interviews and sit-downs and landed here today. So congratulations, Tom. Welcome to Marlborough. We also have Mary Edwards Ransom with us here today. Mary is from Highland, not from Saugerty, sorry. Certification in biology, 7 through 12. She has an undergraduate degree from Ithaca College in biology and also an undergraduate degree in music. She has her graduate degree from Ithaca College as well and master's in biology. And we are very excited to be bringing you into a very dedicated and strong science department, and I'm glad the passion is there for science. So welcome to Marlborough. Now, we have two others that couldn't be here tonight because they had previous plans. Brian Shannon is going to be coming to us in the special education department. He actually did a leave with us this year, and he's going to continue in that probationary role now as a special education teacher for us. And Eric Balsier is also going to be working with us, and he is going to be working in the area of social studies. So, of course, he couldn't be here tonight as well. So, welcome, everyone. I look forward to seeing you in September, and I know our children are going to benefit from the passion you bring to your subjects. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike, can I just interrupt for a second? There was a correction to the agenda that we forgot to do. Do we want to make that change now, or do we want to wait till new business? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Okay. We have to make an amendment to the personnel recommendations. We have to,
I can explain if you want.
Go
We had a last-minute declination today. I had emailed the board on that. I apologize. I didn't ask to strike the name before we acted on it here. Jennifer Ortiz, Spanish. We need to do a motion to remove that appointment, or
Right.
just amend the. Maybe the motion would be to amend
Amend the
the personnel actions to strike Jennifer Ortiz
Yes.
from the agenda.
okay, can I get a motion to amend the personnel action to strike
Jennifer Ortiz.
Jennifer Ortiz from the appointments? Joanne, second, James. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay. Moving on to CSC, CPSC, resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, authorize the receipt of the CSE, CPSC recommendation meetings as presented. Can I get a motion to authorize the receipt of Russell? And second, Frank. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Town of Marlborough sewer easement, resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves and authorizes the following sewer easement as presented. Can I get a motion to approve and authorize the sewer easement? Bill? Frank? Second. Any discussion? Do you want to explain it just a little bit?
Sure. There's currently a sewer line that runs through the property here at Milton, and this easement will give them access to part of the extension that they would like to do near the entrance at 9W, so that they can extend the sewer across 9W. So really, there's a couple of small little pieces of property that they don't technically have the right to cross. This gives them the right to cross that.
Okay.
There's already a pipe there, but without the easement, they really can't do anything to it, so.
Any discussion?
Mike, this is in front of what school? The elementary?
Right
school?
here.
Right here.
Oh, right here.
Yep. It's a pipe that runs down through and down to the sewer treatment plant down.
Different than the one we talked about regarding the fire
Yes.
department?
That's different. Yeah, that is the driveway it's still here too, that is.
That's a different one.
Yeah.
Brody. Okay.
Correct. Am I right, Pat?
Any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Contracts and agreements. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves and authorizes the signing of the following contracts and agreements as presented. Can I get a motion to approve and authorize contracts? James, second. Frank, any discussion?
The dome, that's for the winter track, correct? Is that primary?
Cross-country.
Is that what we use?
It really can be for any use whatsoever, but that's
Right,
a lot of what
that's
it
what
gets
we
used for.
need.
But we've used it for a number of different things, if there's weather issues that precluding a group from practicing, but this just establishes the rate anytime we want to use it.
That's per use.
Per use, correct?
But, and the contract says not for, like, if we go for practice, it's not, it's only gonna hold events they're charging us.
Pat?
I believe that to be correct. I don't see a copy of it in my
It's
folder.
not, yeah, it was on board
Yeah,
docs.
okay.
So in regards to the Orange Ulster BOCES to purchase our computer equipment, for number one,
Yes.
that we're authorizing you to enter into an agreement with BOCES to provide an installment purchase, is that not a part of the Smart Schools Bond Act funding?
It may or may not be. Really, it's a cooperative purchasing process. Maybe Pat can talk more
Yeah,
to it, but.
I mean, basically what this does is it allows us to finance the purchase over the period of 3 years. So this was not a piece that was included, to my understanding, in the Smarter Schools Bond Act money. This was the upgrade to basically the server and other back-end components.
So
But
it's just a component that doesn't fall under the description of,
Correct. The Smarter Schools Bond Act was pretty much fully expended on what the planned expenditures were, so there wasn't enough money
I
to
see.
include that into
Okay.
that.
Right. It's budgeted for, it just now allows us to enter into that contract.
Correct.
Plus, I know that Mike and Pat work very closely with the BOCES folks to maximize where the purchases are going to be made for maximizing on aid as well, so.
That's correct.
St. James?
any further discussion on contracts?
Yeah, Patrick,
St.
on that
James?
same, sorry, somebody else?
St.
Uh,
James?
On that same one, is, when we saw the Smarter Bonds Act plan and the infrastructure upgrade plan, this is part of that? Just it's funded from different sources? Is that,
This is not part of that.
it's not?
Correct.
Not part of the technology plan, it's in addition to what was presented?
This is not part of the Smarter Schools Bond Act expenditures. Correct.
Joanne, you had a question?
Yeah, the St. James at $49 an hour, is it for student, what is it exactly,
It's for any students that are in their facility and in their care that need tutoring services.
in where, Patrick, I'm sorry?
St. James Tutoring.
Is your microphone on?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that's a very standard, I mean, basically when a student is hospitalized or in any facility, there's organizations that provide the tutoring services that were required by law, and that's their contractual rate.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
yes,
Myself, yes. Okay, moving on to contracts. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the employment contract for Michael M. Brooks, Superintendent, for the period of July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2020, as presented.
That should say 2022.
it says,
It says 2022 below.
it does.
Yeah, so the top one is the typo, it's 2022, and just like below.
So we're
Good catch.
striking 2020 and
It should be 2022.
making it 2022.
Should we amend contract approvals and add in the,
Well, yeah, I was going to give
we
Susan.
were doing contracts, do you want to do that there?
Here, or separately? Okay, so
This is Joel Landella.
this one, yeah, I have it. So you want me to,
We can do it separate,
I think
We'll do
we
it
should do it
separately.
separately.
two separate
Okay.
actions. yeah.
okay, any further discussion? Oh, no, we didn't get a motion.
You gotta give a motion.
Can I have a motion to approve the superintendent's contract? Russell, second. Frank? Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the employment contract for Joel Indelicato, District Technical Service Specialist, for the period of July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2018, as presented. Can I get a motion to approve this contract? Russell, James, second. Any discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay. Policy reading. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the following as presented. Can I get a motion to approve the second and first reading of the following policies? James, second. Frank. Any discussion?
Glad it's over.
So close.
5,000 was just so long.
Can't wait. Any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Equipment, software, books, disposition. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, acknowledges and authorizes that the attached equipment and software and books list be disposed of, sold, donated, recycled, or thrown away. Can I get a motion to authorize this list to be sold, donated, recycled? Russell, second. Bill, any discussion? I actually had a question. I saw there was about 38 to 40 Dell laptops. Do we have any idea, are they with or without the hard drives?
I know that, Mr. Bacazzi is not here tonight, but I know that anytime we dispose of a computer equipment, the hard drives are both, I believe they go out to a company that wipes them and physically destroys them.
So I happened to see on eBay that you could sell these between $40 and $99 without the hard drive. So can we, instead of looking at throwing them away, recycling them, donating them, can we look at selling them? Because even on the low end, if we got $40, we'd be making about $1,500. And then with the iPad, even if you got, I don't know, $50, the mini? I mean, to me, that would make
We could-
sense to go back into the general
We
fund.
would definitely discuss that with Mr. Bacazzi and explore that avenue prior to throwing them away or.
And have, for our items in the past, have we actually sold any of them? And if so, what type of records do we have on that?
Most of the time when we get rid of computer equipment, it's so obsolete that, that we basically offset the disposal cost by somebody coming in and just removing it. But I would have to check with Mr. Bacazzius to see
I
exactly
know,
what happened.
we have advertised and gotten rid of equipment and stuff in
Yeah.
the past. On like public surplus, I remember that we had a whole bunch of stuff that one time.
We do have equipment that we're planning, especially like O&M equipment, that we're going to be talking with Auctions International to come in and actually run an auction to publicly bid the materials out. So that could be an option for the computers too.
Okay.
We'll make sure we follow up with Mr. Bacatius, but typically if a computer gets to this stage, it has been scavenged apart too. So you use bits
For
and pieces of
parts?
it for parts, and you're really getting rid of just
Yeah,
what can't be used anymore. Whether there's a power source that you can still use, or a fan, or whatever. So it may not be in the condition, it may not be, but if it is, this is actually in the order that we would like to
Right.
to do this, where we sell it, or donate it, or recycle, or throw it away in that order of priority. So we'll follow up next week with Mike.
sure.
Any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Budget transfers. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, authorizes transfers for the 2016 2016-17, is that correct?
Yeah,
Oh, right, that's new,
it's still, it's still.
as presented.
Right, it's
Yes.
still
It's
rectifying
happening.
last year's budget.
Can I get a motion? Frank? Second? James? Any discussion? In certain areas, Pat, where it's saying it's from BOCES going to BOCES, or from supplies going to supplies, is that just a,
It's just a accounting cleanup. They're just different monies budgeted to specific codes, and, you know, to provide the purchases that are being made may not be directly correlated to that exact code, so the money's being switched between codes just so it's properly recorded.
I have a question to the Medicare reimbursement of $44,000.
Yes.
What is that for?
We reimburse Medicare payments that employees have, so it's a contractual obligation for retirees.
Thank you.
any further discussion? Russell?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Okay, at this time, we'd like to recognize district residents. You could come to the microphone if you would state your name and address the board. Thank you.
Am I on? Hello?
Hi.
Yes, okay. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Brooks, Board of Education, community members, I wish more, and district administration. My name is Patty LaFaro. I am a resident of the district for the past 16 years, formerly a resident in Newburgh and a school counselor for the past 16 years. I served in the Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery Central School District, where I received tenure, and recently, this past year, to be closer, due to my girls' schedule, am now employed in the Newburgh and Large City School District as a school counselor. My husband is an educator in Beacon for the past 34 years, and I have two children in the district, Erin LaFaro, who's a rising sophomore, and Elizabeth, who will be entering the high school this year in 9th grade. I'm proud to say both scholar athletes who have done well in the classroom, and we hold education in the highest regard. I often tease that they have the benefit or the disadvantage of having two educators. But we're very proud of what they do, and we encourage them every day to go to school, do your job, put your head down, and work as hard as you can. This year, after a successful year for my daughter Erin, entering 9th grade, we sort of took a hit at the end when we were greeted with our results of her exams, which she had prepared. You could probably imagine, tutored all year just for supplemental tutoring, because that's what we do. Actually, Mrs. Heck's daughter tutored my children just for supplemental support over the summers, just to keep their brains sharp, right? Several years when they were actually in 2nd and 3rd grade. So we believe in education. Erin, unfortunately, as Mr. Brooks shared, was one of the victims of the geometry regents exam this year. Erin is ranked 30th in the class of 176 students. She is respectfully in all of the honors courses, AP. She has a rigorous course load. Balancing her academics and her athletic capabilities, we've been very blessed with her accomplishments. Unfortunately, this is why I'm raising this issue, I'm asking for district administration to continue these discussions around policy related to the weighting of Regents examination scores in students' GPAs. Erin, I'm using it as an example, did recently meet with Mr. Lawler, with my husband and I, and we also met with Mr. Brooks, and I thank you for your professionalism. I know you worked very closely with Ms. Hecht to revisit the policy that currently exists in Marlborough. While it is important that we carefully look at the Regents exam and how we weigh, I know we can get into a very healthy discussion about examinations and how this affects our children. We, as a family, and I know this doesn't just affect Aaron LaFaro, I approached Mr. Brooks and Mr. Lawler in the same vein as a student, as a school counselor, that I'm advocating for all children. Aaron's GPA was dramatically hit because of one sitting in one exam. She will have the potential, I'm proud to say, to receive scholarship, I hope, academic and athletically, but this has impacted her to the extent that with the support of Mr. Brooks and Mrs. Hecht and the administration, we hope we can overcome it in some way, because she will retake the exam in August. But just for some numbers sense for you, in an honors class, she had an 89 average. She took the test, she failed the test. She was well prepared, I can assure you. Her average went from an 89 to an 81. When you look at a student's transcript, when we're comparing other students from other districts within and outside of Orange County, Dutchess County, I'm afraid that our students are at a disadvantage. Not just Aaron LaFaro, but our children. In doing some more research, and as a student counselor across grade levels, I have experienced K through 12. I look at students' transcripts. I'm always passionate about it, but when it hits home, you become more passionate about it. I did, on the 2nd of July, have a conversation with Mary Beth Casey. She's the Director of Curriculum and Instruction at New York State Department of Education. A very healthy discussion. I have a document I'm pleased to share with you, but it is in the recommendation of the New York State Department of Education that they highly discourage school districts from weighing Regents examination scores in a student's GPA. That leads me to further discussion that surrounding districts, including Newburgh, Beacon, Brewster, Burke Catholic, do not weigh students' Regents examinations in a student's GPA. So Aaron LaFaro takes the exam in Marlborough, has a bad test, and it was a bad test on several different levels. A student in Newburgh takes the exam. They're both going for college admissions. They do not weight the exam. It does not affect that child's GPA. It affects Aaron LaFaro's GPA and the other students in the Marlborough School District. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I very much appreciated the opportunity to meet with Mr. Brooks, his consideration on the request with the support of Mrs. Hecht to reevaluate this policy and allow students now to the retaking of the exam to be recalculated. So for example, Erin is preparing every morning. She's out for tutoring to retake the exam in August. We're all keeping our fingers crossed. That will now be recalculated. Erin did join us in the meeting and spoke on her behalf. But I am discouraged by where the state has put our hands as educators, and as an educator myself. But I feel that we're putting our children in the Marlborough District at a disadvantage, including this in their GPA. So my request is to ask the administration, which I know that you are carefully considering this, to consider these factors in future policy decisions moving forward so that we can prevent this from happening. My fear is, and I will become more visible, my fear is that a lot of our parents do not know how this affects their children. And I know that because I'm a parent and a family, a community member. And unless you're an educator, you might not know, unless you know how to look at a transcript and really see how this impacts. But when you look at a weight, for example, on Erin's, it really can affect college admissions. So I'm asking for that consideration.
Thank you. We appreciate clearly the caliber of parenting that you're providing, and we would assume too that that trickles down to your daughter and also provides her peers in that type of role modeling. I can assure you that we as a board have discussed this, and we appreciate you coming tonight and bringing this concern to us very specifically. If Mr. Brooks would like to address anything immediately.
Oh, we had a good conversation, thanks.
Yes.
I'd like to ask Patty some questions if I can. Hey, Patty, question, for what you know about the other school districts that do not add regents in the weighting? I assume that means any regents exams? not
That's
just
correct.
Do you have any insight in their logic behind that and
Yeah.
reasoning behind that?
I can share the document, which was very enlightening to me from the Office of Curriculum and Instruction. My husband's a whiz at this too because of his experience. But a lot of it is, and Mr. Brooks knew before I even thought I was sharing something with him. He was on the ball, I'd like to say. It's not computationally sound. And if you want to, yes, speak to that. When you look at the weighting of the exam, when you're looking at on a scale score and how we're scoring students all year, and then we're using a scale score, and these are great questions because if you're a layman and you're not, looking at these exams and looking at a raw score versus scale score, it can severely affect that. Go ahead, I'll let you.
Good evening. Frank LaFaro. As my wife said, I've been a teacher in the Beacon City School District. I'm starting my 35th year. I've been a coordinator of the Social Studies Department there for the past 25 years. This is like the chicken and the egg. This is an age-old argument about Regents exams. So to answer your question, there are a couple of things that school districts kind of look at. The first is, on most tests, it's a 0 to 100 scale that students are working with. So you give them a test, it's 65 out of 100 or whatever. The Regents exams do not work that way. The Regents exams are worked on a scaled system. So legitimately, you may only be working with, let's say, 86 points on a Regents exam, total points for a math exam or whatever. So in your world, in my world, you would say, so if a kid gets 25 out of the 86 points, you just do the fraction and that's the grade they get. That's not true. Okay, it may be weighted more depending on the exam. Let's say a social studies exam, more for an essay, which is out of 10 points, and then there are multiple choices here, and you simply scale down and they come up with a number. So one of the things that school districts say is that computation is not equal to the computation that you're doing all year, so it's not a fair evaluation to add into their GPA because it's not a truly reflective score of what they're actually scoring on that particular exam. So that's just one consideration that's part of that. The other is that, as for those of you who don't know, the state of New York is a very interesting entity, the State Department of Education. And so they're constantly changing exams. So one of the problems with the geometry exam, which happened with quite a few exams, is that they're now going from an older system to the new Common Core system, which means the questions are different, they are worded different, they are more wordy. Students have to have a lot better grip on vocabulary and things like that. And so as those tests are changing, to add those into their scores necessarily as a GPA is really not necessarily fair. So for those of you, again, so we used to test everybody 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and then the state said, oh no, we're not going to count the 3rd and the 4th grade tests this year because it's not truly reflective of what it is, all right? So that's another reason for it. Lastly is that these come into, with the new system in New York State, these are figured as part of a teacher's evaluation score. And so to evaluate a teacher simply on this one particular score that teachers are as part of their evaluation score on simply this one test is something where they kind of are discouraging it to be part of it. Now, I will tell you that the opposite side of the argument is, well, how do you make it meaningful for kids so that they do take the Regents exam? And that's why it's such a difficult decision basically to kind of come up with. But the reality is that, and anybody statistically that would want to talk about it, I talk about it as much as you want, all right? The reality of the situation is that we realize that the better kids that are doing well in classes normally get better test grades. Kids who are in average range and kids who are in the lower range don't necessarily fare as well on the Regents exams because they're not truly reflective of what you're doing in the classroom. So just so you know, Erin is in doing the geometry Regents, there are 23 topics. Who knows what's going to be on the exam? We don't know. If I make the exam for the kids in my class, I make it, the kids know what it's going to be on the exam because I taught it to them and now I'm testing them on it. We don't know what's going to be on the exam. Could be 5 questions on one, none on another. So those are reasons that school districts sometimes shy away from including it in the GPA.
So what,
The other thing that I know is hard, because my daughter wrote to the state and 2 senators, and nobody responded. Well, one of them responded with a form letter, and the governor's office on it, is some of the regions have a negative curve. If you do too well on it, if you're not in the very top, but because they've got a resolve here, and it was a science one, and it made the difference between passing the regents and a mastering regents. You know, it was a 2-point difference, and it wasn't because you didn't do well enough. If you took the numbers and figured it out, it's because of the damn negative curve they had.
But to my point about why school districts wouldn't do, or don't do it in your explanation, so the scale I can understand, except the schools, districts could create a policy that normalizes that. So if it's only a scale to 85, since they're choosing it by policy to include it in your final grade, you could just normalize it for the end of year grade, right? Because Regents is a requirement for graduation, correct? So the school districts that don't include it in the end of year GPA have, you pass or fail Regents, period, separate conversation, and then here's your grade based on everything else.
That's correct.
Right? So if you include, and I do have a question about what our policy is, if you choose to include the Regents exam score, couldn't the school district have a choice to normalize it based on your knowledge of their scale and the range and things like negative?
I don't think that would be, well, first of all, I'm not really fully prepared to answer the question.
Just a
but
general question,
yeah, I
not
don't
our
know,
school district, but.
I don't know how we would even, that'd be coming up with a different scale score. I mean, I don't know how you would do that.
That would be good if the scale was the same for all of the exams. But
Right,
the
they're
scales
not.
are different.
They're even different from Algebra 1 to Geometry to Algebra 2.
So answering my own question, you could do that, but you run the risk of doing it in favor of the student or against the student,
Correct.
and it wouldn't be right appropriate. Okay.
Correct.
There are more and more school districts looking at not including this in the GPA. And I just want to add, Aaron had, and this is, when you're looking at, for the geometry, you had 4.5% mastery in this district. So
Sorry, say that again?
4.5% of students received mastery. So 4.5 kids received above an 85. That's not, we know that. It's not good. It's not acceptable, right? But it even is affecting those students, our higher echelon, right? I mean, yes, Aaron's a good, solid student, but I'm talking about all students. And this test was difficult. It was an anomaly. And I hope an anomaly for Aaron LaFaro. But as parents, she had an average of a 95 in the 4th quarter. We had no indication that this child was at risk at all for failing this exam. However, she has a document, and I showed it to them when they were in 7th grade, that this is your transcript, and this follows you wherever you go. And now she has a mark on her transcript that brought her average down by 9 points because of one exam and a local policy. Not a state policy, a local policy. And that's my reason for being here this evening.
So, Mr. Brooks, is there some understanding, can you share any understanding of why we have that? Sorry?
We're really not prepared for that, yeah.
And that certainly wasn't my intention, you know, and I respect that. My intention was just to bring, again, that level of awareness to not only, I've already done that with Mr. Brooks, and I appreciate that, but to the Board of Education and also to the community.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
So we just add a new business section.
Okay, we do have some new business.
Yeah.
So I've got
We
one
had
item.
we didn't add it on the agenda, but Pat informed me that he's got an item that he needs to bring to the board's attention, so if it's okay, we could add a new business section. Thank you.
We just have one item. We received a request from John Redman, who's a Board of Education member of the Florida Union Free School District. He's seeking nomination to the vacant seat of the Area 9 Director of the New York State School Boards Association. John has been on the Board of Education in Florida since 2000. He's in his 6th term. He served as both president and vice president of the board. He's twice achieved his board mastery designations from NYSBA. Served 3 years as president of the Orange County School Boards Association and received the Mid-Hudson School Study Council Excellent Award for School Board Service. Nominations are due by July 30th. This is the only request for a nomination that we have received. So I guess the question is the Board of Education, would they like to nominate John Redmond from the Florida Union Free School District to the Board of Education, to the Area 9 Director of New York State School Boards Association?
Joanne, do you know him from the meetings?
I would recommend it. Dorothy Slattery is retiring, so it's to take her spot. So for me, I'd say yes.
I guess the motion would be, would the Board of Education nominate John T. Redmond of the Florida Union Free School District Board of Education to the Area 9 Director of the New York State School Boards Association?
Can I get a motion to
Do what
nominate,
Pat said.
nominate John Redmond? Russell, second. James, any discussion?
I don't know him, so I don't see how I can vote yes or no.
You're
So,
voting on Joanne's recommendation, none of us know.
Based on Joanne's recommendation, okay.
Any further discussion? Anything you want to add to that? Russell?
Yeah, based on Joanne's recommendation, I'll vote yes.
John? That's a yes. James?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we do not have an executive session scheduled. Resolve that the Board of Education adjourn the meeting at, what time does that say?
9:50.
9:48 and 30 seconds. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Russell?